Oye, loca, ven pa' acá.
Bienvenido a Miami. Bienvenido a Miami. Solo tú.
Bienvenidos a Telemundo 71. Alrighty, cool.
Hello, everybody.
4, 3, 2, kick it.
Hey guys, James here once again, this time with the fourth of many episodes of Miami Let's Cast. I am James from Miami Let's Play, joined by Eric. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, guy?
Chilling, bro. Living the dream.
Living the dream?
What you been up to these days?
Oh, nothing much. Just working, chilling.
Working like a beast.
Working like a beast.
Enjoying the fact that it's not raining out here, man. It's been raining like a fucking nightmare here in Florida. And today's been beautiful.
Yeah, today's actually been pretty, like, one of those days you just, like, go out and enjoy the sun.
Yeah. For sure.
Just a little bit of sun, just a little bit of cloud, that's perfect.
I went out back earlier today, and I just dipped my toes in the pool.
Oh, nice.
That thing was like, it was super nice. It was super nice to get out there. So, yeah, man, living in Miami is nice for sure. But anyway, so today we're going to talk a little bit about a few things. Eric and I are both excited about the new expansion for Diablo, so we're going to delve into that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Xcom 2 and what they're doing. We also have some news on a new character for Dragon Ball Z Fighters, a game that we're pretty stoked about for sure.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about the latest of Nintendo and what they got going on, Sony and Microsoft, and then we're going to delve into some of this Psyonix talk, the developers of Rocket League. We continue the story with the cross-play, but let's get started here. So, Diablo 3. It's been a while since we've seen anything coming out of that team. I know they've been working hard on a lot of the Overwatch stuff Blizzard has, so
definitely
it's cool to see that they're still supporting with new content the Diablo 3, the fanatics of the Diablo 3, and it's actually out now, and it's the Rise of the Necromancer pack. It adds a new player to the grind here, the grind away. So what makes you excited about?
Oh, the Necromancer?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's dude, it's like one of those like spellcasters like wet dreams that you've been ever that people since back in the D&D days have been just like my spellcaster people feel me on this, but what I was really excited when they decided to come out with the Necromancer.
Nice.
Yeah, as of right now, this recording, it's been released like 6 days ago.
Nice.
On the 27th of June. So, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I still haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I've seen some things that he can do, which is summon demons to come and help him. Actually, no, I'm sorry, not demons, like zombies and
nice. So he's bringing the undead.
Yeah, essentially, reviving the undead to help him fight.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool, and I think like the resource, I forgot what it was exactly. I think it's like something. It's like dark magic or something. It's like I don't know what it is specifically, but I know it's.
But it makes him a badass.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
So, I should say so. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. It's blood and bone. He has to have. He has two resources.
Nice. Okay. So it's nice to see a change so that people could kind of get back into it and start another player from zero.
Yeah.
but Diablo 3 does it nice. So it's, if somebody's leveled up, it helps you kind of fast track the leveling up, so you can kind of get to the ultimate version of these characters pretty rapidly. Especially
when you pull like marathon sessions of upwards of like 12 hours a day.
I don't know about that,
dude.
But yeah.
I actually did it one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the PS3 version, I did 12 hours a day on nothing but just like leveling up my sorcerer.
Shit.
And I got up to Paragon level 5.
Holy smokes.
Before the game's end.
Nice.
I didn't get any green armor. I got all the best armor that I could, but I still managed to beat Diablo, which was pretty dope.
Not to take too much away from the excitement, but I noticed this thing's $15. It's not like a true expansion. It doesn't really have any adding story stuff. I mean, it does little things here and there, but it doesn't add like any acts.
Well, apart from what we've seen in the past, I haven't like really mentally explored this.
Okay.
So I can't say for certain that they really haven't, if they changed anything or if they haven't changed anything.
Right.
But hopefully, they might change up the story a bit. They might add, more armor, more items. Definitely, things to help out the necromancer and drops. And they might have changed that up like a lot.
Cool, man. So it's out already. It came out on the 27th. It's $15 on the Xbox One and PlayStation and PC for those who are stoked for that. Yeah. So pick that up if you guys are kind of foaming at the mouth for some new Diablo 3.
Definitely interested in making some parties with anybody that's interested. So
for sure,
hit me up.
What's your PSN?
My PSN, it's BreakerBoy 2336. So I'll leave it like in the description of this podcast.
Sure.
So
we'll throw it down there. I'll put mine in there as well.
Alrighty.
Okay, so next up, I want to talk a little bit about a game that I'm stoked for. It was actually my game of the year last year, and that's XCOM 2. So I kind of missed it because they announced it. It was almost like a stealth launch. I didn't catch the PC conference at E3 this year, but they announced a new expansion for XCOM 2, the Chosen One or some shit like that.
Oh, okay.
It's coming out August 29th. It's gonna be for the PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, Xbox One.
I'm actually surprised it came out for Linux. I'm surprised because Linux, like as an operating system, like Jesus. I did not expect that one at all.
It's one of the things I like about Firaxis, which is the developer, man. They really throw it out. They're big on mods on the PC side. Obviously, they're big on their mods. The community. They actually talked about how important the mods were for developing this new expansion, and how massive, extremely massive this DLC or the expansion is for this game. It's going to add 3 soldiers.
Okay. It's
going to add some cool, interesting things that are going to overlay over the base game and kind of implement it all around.
Okay.
So you're going to be able to do that. They're talking about incorporating some of the things that made the systems in Shadow of Mordor so good, which is a Nemesis system. Basically, you're going to be able to, according to the developer, you're going to be able to kind of see these guys, and then if you see them again later on in some match or something, they're going to remember what you did depending on how that match turned out. So it's very cool.
Okay, so the AI essentially tailors itself to your past, like your...
Right, that's what they're saying in the interviews. Obviously, we have yet to see, but that seems pretty interesting. Something pretty interesting to bring to a strategy game.
Yeah, that's very kind of like, it's very intuitive. I think that's very smart that they did.
Right. So I mean, and I'm kind of beside myself that nobody has copied that system in another game, because as much hype as that system got, the Nemesis system, I'm surprised that more developers didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, XCOM 2, the Chosen some bullshit is coming out. Just give me some more content, man. I don't care. Just give me content.
It's War of the Chosen.
War of the Chosen, is that what it is?
Yeah, XCOM 2.
Okay.
War of the Chosen.
Oh man. Okay, so that's that. I'm not gonna get too much into that. So there's a game that we both like.
Yeah.
And it's basically because of the source material. Now, we saw it on Microsoft stage at the C3, and that's Dragon Ball Z Fighters. And the reason we're talking about this game now is because we just saw that they're adding future Trunks to the game. But, or they confirmed it.
Yeah.
This is basically from the developers of BlazBlue, or BlazBlue, however you pronounce that, and Guilty Gear.
Okay.
That's the part of it that makes me really excited because, yeah, I've been, hyped for Dragon Ball Z games before, but I feel like they kind of missed the point on the fighting side.
Yeah.
It's very counterintuitive sometimes. It doesn't really play well in some of these games, and it's, the overall picture is the story most of the time with Dragon Ball Z. They want to keep it true to that.
Yeah.
But the fact that this is a real fighting game developer backing this thing up and making it true to the anime,
yeah, makes
me pretty stoked.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked about this title. Like, I think they're doing something a little bit interesting, where it's like the fighting mechanics. It kind of sort of goes like it's kind of like a throwback,
right?
But Dragon Ball Z games have like notoriously been famous for having this sort of proprietary like fighting mechanic,
right,
where they incorporate like a 3D space on like a big field where you can go left, you can go right, you can go up and go down, and then whatever combination they're in between.
Right.
And the problem with that, I feel, is that sometimes like the AI, sometimes other players that you fight with online take advantage of like, I want to say, your camera. The camera has always been the biggest problem of that, and you would like the developers would always have to fall back to like a lock-on system, which honestly doesn't work half the time. Especially when they instant transmission behind you or like on your side or whatever, and then you lose the lock, which sucks. And then you have to work. You literally have to work around like guessing where he could potentially be.
Right.
So I think it's good that they're doing it like this, because in this way we don't have to. There's not that big focus on field like awareness.
Right. I got you.
So I mean, yeah, it's good that they're doing it this way, and I hope they do it like Xenoverse, where it's like a completely different story. But honestly,
for sure,
I think it's good that they did away with that whole like field presence mechanic, game mechanic.
Right. I mean, there's space for that, because those types of games are usually going around the story mostly. It's more like an RPG-ish kind of feel.
Yeah.
And this is like a true fighting game, which I feel like, why haven't they done a legit fighting Dragon Ball Z game before?
Yeah, I honestly, if I could take a crack at it, I would say, they're trying to stay true to the anime itself. They're trying to like, they're introducing things like in the anime, all these different techniques, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, this is where they are spatially, like in this area, like in this arena where they're fighting. Right. So that's what I think they kind of try to capture in the games, but they tend to sort of fall short.
Right. And it's kind of cool because they've also confirmed that and we see it also in the demos, it's gonna be like the anime, like for instance when they had the fight in Namek, the planet basically explodes. So if you finish off the character with one of these super moves, it actually goes into that kind of mode. Where like the center of Namek is exploding or whatever, and now you're in like this countdown stage, and I think it's cool that they're implementing that, and for those who haven't seen the anime, they can still kind of they can still enjoy the game as a core fighting game, but for those who have seen the anime, they see something that other people don't. And it's nice that they're doing that touch there. Now they've also confirmed that it's going to be 3v3. What do you think about that?
3v3, I think it's good that they're doing it like that. That means coming back from past experience that they're gonna open the way for 2v2s and 1v1s. But they're
I would assume that.
So I think it's good to do that,
and it almost fits in with the universe, right? Because these fights, like for instance, in the very early on in the anime, you had Goku and Piccolo going head to head with
Raditz.
Raditz and Vegeta.
Yeah.
So that's almost like a real legit thing. And then you had Kid Gohan, in there.
Yeah, go up against Cell.
Right.
That was that should have been a slanted fight. Kid Gohan should have died, but he should have died. But I'm actually. He summoned the power of like his dad, and then he destroyed Cell. It was amazing.
Yeah, this is like episode 10 of the fight. He's collecting energy. Episode 10, he's still collecting energy.
And over 9,000 screams later.
Yeah, finally he lets go of that freaking buildup of he needs to get laid, man. He just needs to let out. I feel sorry for the wife, man, because. let me just move on past that.
Please, let's
getting back to the 3v3, I think it's kind of cool that they're implementing that. It reminds me a lot of, a game that's coming out in September now, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That's got that 3v3 feel. Obviously there's a lot of sky combos because a lot of the Dragon Ball Z fighting happens in the air. So I feel like it's got the best parts of Marvel vs. Capcom with this kind of, you know, Blaze Blue Guilty Gear feel.
Yeah.
That's super nice. Aesthetically, it looks freaking phenomenal, and they stay true to the series. I think this game is gonna be badass just based on what I see, and the fact that I enjoy the anime so much or enjoyed it. I think this is gonna be a good one for the fans and for those who just like a good old fighting game.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So let's shift gears a little bit.
All right.
So, you know, Nintendo obviously has been having a good year so far. They've had a great launch, a lot of success with the launch of the Switch. And we just recently saw, or what was it, May? When was it that they released Mario Kart? Was that in April? Whatever. They just released it, and they did a really nice deluxe version of the Wii U version of the game. So, and it seems to have been received well by the fans. It seems to have sold well. And the reason I bring this up is because Reggie Fils-Aimé, which is the head of, or the president of Nintendo of America, has confirmed that they're basically evaluating these Wii U titles, and they're getting ready to re-release this. So
Okay.
it begs the question, as you know, he didn't get into specifics, but it makes sense. They mentioned that basically, you know, a lot of these games that were great on the system, and they were just missed by people because they didn't have a chance to play them because nobody really owned a Wii U. So it's almost like a no-brainer to do this, to bring it. This Switch is doing so well. Why not bring a game to the people who haven't played it? It's almost like a fresh game. So for those who played it before, obviously they're gonna feel differently. But for somebody who myself that didn't really, I didn't own a Wii U. I skipped it altogether. I don't mind seeing some of these games being re-released in better versions.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
Honestly, yeah, man. I'd like to see some games get re-released. You know, that's really a good move when all you have are like certain games, like these third-party companies that are just, you know, focusing on what aspects of the Nintendo Switch to take advantage of.
Right, and it'll also help build fill some of these gaps that they have with like these games. It feels like, you know, Sony's got tons of games, Xbox got tons of games coming. There's obviously a little bit of void with Nintendo. I think this is a good way to fill that void. You know, what do we want to see get re-released? So obviously the one that comes to mind is Smash Brothers, bro. That has to get re-released.
That has to get re-released.
You know, include all the DLC, upgraded graphics. You know, I think it's a no-brainer. The fact that this thing's on the go, it's going to be very reminiscent of what the 3DS version was.
Yeah.
But in a grander scale, you know, better graphics. You can connect it to the TV on the go, and you can connect them together. To me, it just makes sense. You know, to get 4 people hooked up together with the Nintendo Switch, and they each have their own screen, and they're fighting and screaming at each other.
Yeah.
So
let's hope Daddy Sakurai doesn't have a problem with re-releasing Smash 4 and having, you know, more, giving the competitive scene more of a platform to work with.
Right. But so other than the obvious in Smash Brothers, bro, what do you think is another good title to get see?
Another good title that I think, well, honestly, these are IPs that Nintendo really hasn't touched, and that I wish they'd like revive.
Right.
They definitely brought back Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U, so I kind of like to see that.
Nice. Yeah, that is a good one. I hadn't thought about that one for sure.
I mean, I don't know if they closed the book on that. You know, maybe they haven't. Maybe they.
I mean, they already own it.
True.
I'm not sure what the contract is on that. I'm not sure if they own Bayonetta. Or they just
Platinum Games. I think they might have bought the IP to Bayonetta.
Okay.
Though if they're not really doing anything with it, I think they should sell it. I think they should sell it to Capcom.
Right. Well, you know what? They did a good job, man. That game is freaking badass.
Yeah, that is. So I guess to answer your question, Bayonetta 2 with like the Bayonetta combo.
Nice.
For the first game. What's another one? What's another good one?
I feel like
I want to say Zombie U and sound like a total nub.
No, but Zombie U, they brought it to the PS4, but
they brought it
Zombie
to the PS4
something.
Yeah,
they call it something.
It's just Zombie.
So yeah, man, I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that. You guys let us know what you would like to see brought back that was originally released to the Wii U that could benefit from a fresh new version on the Switch. So staying with the Nintendo as topic, we just found out recently that the Super Nintendo Classic Mini is getting released. It's coming out September 29th. It's gonna be $80. So we know already that that's gonna be better than the original NES Classic. One is bringing 2 controls instead of 1, so you're not gonna be having to go out there and try and find an additional control as hard as the first one was to find. Then to find a control was a mission, but
Yeah.
it's coming with 21 games. These are some of the titles here. You have Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, which in my opinion is the second best Mario. Zelda, Legend of or A Link to the Past, F-Zero. I'm super stoked for that. Super Metroid, and then you have classics like Street Fighter 2, Punch Out, Castlevania, Donkey Kong, Mega Man X is in there. But I think the title that stands out from all these is the Star Fox 2 title.
Oh, yeah.
And why? Because we never saw it here in the United States. I don't even think it came out in Japan. I'm not sure
It might
about
have.
that, but
I'll have to,
we've never seen it for sure. We haven't seen it here in the States. It hasn't been released, so I think that's just in itself is a selling point. I mean, I'm looking at the website here, and these boxes look like I want to get it. I want to get it. I want to look. These box covers make me remember my childhood.
What I would hope, you know, this is like you know, the ISO compatible with like you know, the Super Famicom games and you know, the original like Super Nintendo games that originated.
Well,
in
I
Japan.
don't think they're gonna. It's just basically on board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these games are on board. I don't think they're gonna have expansions or anything like that.
You don't have like does it have like a port for the original like cartridges?
No,
or?
it doesn't have cartridges.
Oh, okay.
It's just a sealed box. It's shaped like a Super Nintendo,
Oh,
and it has these on board.
Okay.
So my question, it begs the question. Obviously, we saw the debacle with the original Mini, where they basically didn't make enough for the demand. And I walked into a GameStop. There was one sitting right there. I had it in my hand. I'm like, I should have bought it. And then like a week later, they said we're not making it anymore.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, these things are gonna be accessible at some point. But that's the question I'm trying to get to. Do you think that they've learned their lesson and they're gonna make more of this version to sell more, or do you think that they're gonna limit them and run into the same thing because Nintendo never gets?
Well, I mean,
learns their
yeah,
lesson?
dude. I mean, you have to understand like the rule of any business. If you're gonna sell a product, you have to know how well it's gonna do beforehand.
Right.
So you, obviously, you know, you'd have to find out how well it's gonna do in pre-orders. You have to know how well it's gonna do, like how many people are talking about it on social media.
Right. And that was the problem with the original one. They didn't have anything to gauge that.
Yeah.
And I think they were hit from left field with the success of it.
So what they really need to do if they want to have a successful launch is have their ear to the ground. They have to listen to how many people actually like it.
Easier said than done with Nintendo.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it's not a perfect science and you will hit or miss it. You know, you never know. But, you know, pick a number, be satisfied with that, and then, you know, just have that many units at launch.
Nice.
It's as simple as that.
So I kind of see why they launched the original NES before, and it's because they had a gap. They knew that the Wii U's weren't selling. Okay. You know, they weren't producing enough 3DSs to sell at the time. Now we have the 2DS, the new 2DS XL. I don't see why they release a Super NES if they're gonna make the same mistake. I feel like they have learned their lesson. I think that there's gonna be plenty out there, but who knows really? With Nintendo, you want to kind of root for them because you know they have such great properties and you want to be successful. But do you think this is a cash grab, or it makes less sense this year because the Nintendo Switch has been so successful, and I feel like you know, while producing these units, I don't know if it directly correlates to less Switch units being produced. I don't know.
I mean, I think the smart play would actually be to see if at any point, from the release of the Nintendo Switch, if it ever feels stagnant, that they have an option to do either one of several different things. You could either make more games, you could come up with a new product, you know, this, that, or the other. What I think, I think that's important to do, just so you know they don't tap into necessarily just the Nintendo fan base as you know, as general as that term would imply.
Right.
You know, you'd have children, you know, whose whose mothers only know like the systems by, you know, the Nintendo being like the end all be all.
Oh yeah. No, for forever, my mom, when we were growing up, was like a Nintendo, and I was like, no, like that, because I grew up on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. She's like, el Nintendo. And then I'm like, nah, mom. It's like how do you explain it? It's now, you know, PlayStation's a more known name, but still, you find people that are like a Nintendo. They call it Nintendo, and what they really mean is gaming system.
Yeah, I mean, they were really early to the game. They were like the hallmark name, like the brand that, you know, old Cuban grandmothers called like their children's game systems. But getting back on that, you know, you'd have the middle, like that middle range where they're just casual gamers, and then you'd have like the diehard, you know, Nintendo fans who love Mario, and, you know, that's all they know Nintendo from.
Nice.
So, oh my god, I'm missing my original point, but and there's like another, like, I don't know how big or how small this is, like of a demographic within the Nintendo like community, but they want to try and see if they can tap into like the nostalgia players.
Right.
So
for sure. So I also feel like I walked into a Best Buy the other day, and there's no Switches anywhere, and then you look over and you have, you know, an aisle full of PS4s and another aisle full of Xboxes, and there's no real Nintendo presence.
Yeah.
And then you also have the limited amount of games, so the shelf space for Nintendo is not much. So maybe they're trying to fill some shelves with this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we have to just wait and see. But that isn't the only console I want to talk to you about. Okay. So Sony's in the news again.
Okay. What about?
So I know last year, a few months ago, we heard of a supposed leak, and I say that with quotation marks.
Okay.
Because about a PS4, or rather PS5 being produced, that it's going to come out before the end of 2018, yada yada yada. Is that going to be a smart move for Sony? So it's one thing to hear from leaks, it's the other thing to hear straight from the mouth of the reps. So what they said is they don't see, and what I mean by they is Layton, Sean Layton, which is, I forget his title there, but he's like the head of Sony.
Yeah.
He basically said, look, PS5 is not coming out for a while. We don't see it anytime soon. Do we believe him? Do we believe that they're gonna just do the PS4 Pro for an iterative version, and then we won't see the PS5 for a while? What do you think the game plan is here for Sony?
I think the smart thing, I mean, if they have something like that in the works, I don't think it's best to like release it right now, especially due to the fact that, you know, we have, you know, they're gonna try and see if, you know, because they're writing the coattails of Nintendo right now. Because if
that's
you remember,
crazy to say that, right?
Yeah,
because they're the leaders, but they're riding the coattails. So yeah, that's crazy.
They're literally 0.5% behind Nintendo right now in sales. Because if you remember in the last podcast, we talked about how, you know,
well, we're talking about the market, their stock market.
The stock market.
Yeah, monetarily wise, in the Tokyo stock market, they're behind on Nintendo. Yeah.
So I want to definitely say that, you know, it's probably not the best thing to do right now, just because of the fact, like, first of all, like, I looked at the you know, the concept art for the PS5, and I also say that in quotations because, you know, it looks ugly as shit.
Yeah.
As somebody who, again, is a Nintendo fan, I'm sorry, no, my bad.
You don't want to be the wrong fan.
I don't want to be the wrong fan. As a Sony fanboy, definitely, like, I am very critical when it comes to products like that Sony releases.
Right, as a true fan.
Yeah, as a true fan, because they do stuff really well. The Japanese, you know, are very masterful. They perfect like every little thing.
Right.
So when I saw it, I thought that, oh my god, what engine part of like XJ9 like fell off, and they decided to make into a console. It's for what we have right now, it's fine. Right. They're just trying to, like, right now I think they're trying, like, the best thing to do right now is to try and kind
of sit pretty, right?
Yeah, sit pretty, focus on like upscaling to 4K, and, you know, making sure that consoles run efficiently and powerfully, and, you know, make sure at no point does like the game or the console throttle on itself because of X, Y, and Z.
So I definitely agree with you there. I think that they should focus less on the hardware, keep what they have, and kind of keep going with the software, because the reason that I jumped on Sony and the reason I have it is basically because of the exclusives that they don't really market as exclusives. You know, your Persona 5s, your Japanese RPGs, that none of these things come to Xbox. You know, for a while the Sky 5 title was an exclusive to, you know, the PS4 console. Now obviously it's on the Nintendo console, and that's where I think it's a little bit more competitive in that sense, Nintendo to Sony versus Xbox and Sony. And I say that because, you know, that you can see some of the same titles that are on Sony and the Nintendo now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some of these Japanese titles are just going to get ported over to the Nintendo to kind of grab the market share.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
Yeah,
But,
I mean, a prime example would be Bethesda with Skyrim. Because
for sure. I mean, that's a freaking like 6-year-old game at
that's
this
a
point.
6-year-old game, dude. And it like, when I saw it the first time it came out, like on Xbox and PS4, and now all of a sudden, you know, it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch, which
Right.
I don't know how they're gonna do it unless they plan on downscaling every single thing that they have, like all the environments, you know. So where, you know, they take like essentially like a 60 gigabyte game and then turn it. I want to say modestly 15 gigabytes, so that it can somehow, by the good grace of God, fit on the very, very small memory on the Nintendo Switch.
So yeah, I mean, just to kind of they basically doubled down when they were asked about the PS5. They said, look, it's not gonna come out for a while. You know, we don't plan on doing a PS4 Pro only title.
Yeah.
You know, we want to keep it almost like the same messaging that Xbox is doing with the Xbox One X, and they want to do like at the family of consoles. I think it'll be a mistake if they start talking about the PS5.
Yeah.
And why? Because they got so much momentum right now. They're on pace to sell all these things, and to start over,
Really,
kind of fresh, is, I think, will be a mistake at this point, considering how far ahead they are.
mistake. I don't think is the correct word. I think they'd be shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, with a machine gun, so
with the
multiple shots.
Especially when they're coming out with things like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which I'm excited for.
Right.
They're coming out with Destiny 2, which I'm also excited for.
Nice. Well, they got the exclusive content. For
Yeah,
Destiny
they got
2,
the
so yeah,
exclusive
for sure.
content. I'm so happy.
For sure. So yeah, they have that. So let's talk about this. Let's say this is what we think is that no, they shouldn't be bringing out on a PS5. But do you think this thing is in development already? Do you think they're R&Ding this thing already?
I guess, you know, they're trying something new
Okay.
with the development of this game.
Well, I'm saying in regards to the PlayStation 5, do you think that the PlayStation 5 is in development somehow? Do you think they're doing mock designs and things like that for what the PS5 is going to look like?
Really, I mean, I think if they're doing it now, they should probably focus on one thing at a time. So if they're going to focus on design right now. If they're going to focus on how much horsepower this thing is going to pump out, focus on that. If they're going to focus on the OS and the source code.
So you feel like this thing's in development in some form, that they're studying up on what it's going to look like at the very least?
If they're going to do it, yeah, I think if I were Sony, I would, do it now and focus one thing at a time, so that way, every little thing is like literally perfect. And so for all that revenue stream that they're getting.
So focus on the PS4, but have this thing on the side, in development.
Have this thing in like the shadow department, like level 8 classified, just don't tell a soul.
Gotcha.
And then just keep getting that that revenue that they're getting from the PS4, all the things that it entails. Just throw little bits into the shadow department. Just throw little bits in there. Just make it little perfect. Just do it little by little, and then it probably makes something good.
So that's not the only reason that Sony's in the news this week. So
what did they do this time?
So basically, I mentioned this in a previous episode of the show, but basically it's kind of ramping up because Rocket League is basically saying, hey man, look, we're ready to go. All we gotta do is push the button and we can do this crossplay thing with Xbox, Nintendo and Sony. But Sony is the holdout in this case. So they basically keep trying to reach out to them, and they keep saying the same thing. Look, we don't want to do it. And I think it's mostly because of what we just mentioned. I think it's because they're so far ahead that they don't want to give any competitive advantage to, Xbox or Nintendo at this point, which kind of makes sense. But do you think they're, again, coming back to them shooting themselves in the foot, do you think they're shooting themselves in the foot by holding out and not doing this cross-play thing?
Honestly, this wouldn't even be the case here. We're talking about like a 22-year-old holding out on the guy that she just met on freaking not Tumblr,
Tinder.
There we go. But honestly, if they're like really like if they've mentally explored this, I mean, they should have come to like the conclusion that they're not losing anything out of it, but they're probably not also gaining anything out of it either.
Right.
So they're just like what Psyonix is pretty much telling them is that, hey, we have all the wires hooked up, we have the button to press as soon as you call us and you say yes, and if you change your mind, the button is always there, we will press it. I think that's smart to do.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's smart for Psyonix because they're saying, hey, we're the people's developer, right? They've actually said we've internally tested it. It's working. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's definitely good press for Psyonix at the expense of Sony, because definitely I look at Sony in a different light because of this article and because of what's going on with this crossplay thing. I don't want these monopolies to happen. I don't want the division. I want what's best for the gamer. What's best for the gamer would be, it would be kind of cool, right? If we can do this kind of crossplay thing.
Yeah.
But then I also see Sony's side. I see how they don't benefit in any way from this. They would benefit because I think that if they're on board, then it would be nice Sony, Sony. Sony's very nice.
They're being very nice, with all of that. They have nothing. Okay, when I say they have nothing to gain, they have nothing additional to gain. They have people that play on the PlayStation Network that they have to pay like a monthly service for, and they also have the things that the gamers buy on the PlayStation Store. So, for example, like little add-ons for the Batman, first Superman Batmobile, and the speed trails, the tires, this, that, and the other. So they can still buy all that stuff in the store. But what I think Sony is like, it's like they're holding out on is just like, what more can they gain? And honestly, it's fine for what it is right now. I mean,
I think it'll be kind of cool. Can you imagine a world where I'm playing on Sony's platform and you're playing on Xbox and then another guy's playing on Nintendo Switch, but then you all have like unique skins or whatever, so you can know where you're playing on. So one guy's playing with like a Mario Kart, and maybe I'm playing with some like crazy ass God of War like decal or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely
an Xbox with the Halos. The guy's at the top and he's like shooting with the, what do you call that? The Warthog, and he's up there like he's hitting like the ball. I think that'll be kind of cool.
Weapons were never like really their like a big thing with them. It was just always like nitrous boost. But more recently they came out with like all these ridiculous weapons, like in this new game type where it's like, I think it's 6v6, and then you get like a punching glove, like on a spring thing. You also get like a hook. You summon a tornado. You get like summon spikes, which I think was cool. In regards to that, like the unique identifiers for the people that are on certain consoles, I think it'd probably be better to just like put like right next to their avatar names, or like their gamer tags or whatever.
Right.
Hey, like a Nintendo or like a PlayStation or an Xbox, like little logo, and then right next to it like the color code for that specific console. So,
Right.
Everybody will probably still stick to the whole, orange versus blue, setup.
Right. That'd be cool. I'm thinking of like a way for them to monetize, right? So Psyonix could sell some skins, and then everybody wins. So you can rep your console. I think it's another way, a nice wishful thinking.
I think it's nice, but again, if you really want to get Sony on board, you're gonna have to give them something a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. What's in it for them? How's it gonna benefit them to kind of jump on board with this thing? So. For sure. So, kind of moving on here, we want to talk a little about Xbox. I wouldn't want to end the podcast without at least bringing them up. but basically, Phil Spencer basically came out and said, well, he didn't say it, but he was in an interview in the past, and we know that we didn't see any Halo 6, any Gears of War 5, so it begs the question, like, what's going on with these studios? He's come out and said, basically, he's seen what they've been working on. It's pretty cool what they're working on, so we kind of know that Halo 6 is, it's unofficial, it's not announced, but we know that it's happening, Halo 6. Now, Gears of War 5 is another thing, they're still supporting Gears of War 4, or have they moved on and now started developing Gears of War 5? When do you think that we'll see these things? Do you think Halo 6 is coming 2018?
Yeah, I definitely think games like Halo 6 and Gears of War 5 are going to be put on hiatus right now.
Okay.
I mean, we've actually seen this a lot in the past. Like, for example, we've seen this with the Assassin's Creed series, where they took like a little break.
Right.
And in that break, yeah, they released, the Assassin's Creed movie, which, was okay in my book. Just a little tidbit there. But, yeah, definitely some other examples. If you guys have any other examples, just leave it below in the comments, because that's literally all I can think about right now. It's literally that comes up foaming at the top of my mind. But, yeah, it's not too far-fetched for them to say, hey, let me take a little break to see how I can improve the series better. Because
because there was a lot of backlash after Halo 5 in reference to the story. Everybody was like, the story sucks. It doesn't suck, but it was underwhelming because I played through the game and the story wasn't bad, but it was not good.
It didn't blow your skirt up.
Yeah, it was, and it also wasn't as advertised because they advertised the story as Master Chief has gone rogue and Locke is there to kind of hunt him down and all this thing, and it did play out a little bit like that, but it wasn't the story that people wanted to see. You were basically playing Locke 80% of the time. Master Chief was a secondary character, and so there was a lot of backlash for that. There was also a lot of backlash for the lack of split screen multiplayer. So they've already said that they would be bringing that back in the next Halo. So that's kind of cool to know that they're going to be bringing that back. So what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're going to continue this Locke story? Do you think that they're going to move past that and just bring Master Chief back? Because at some point you got to introduce some new characters. It can't just be Master Chief, right?
Yeah, you can't just be Master Chief. Honestly, no, they have to reevaluate what they can do with the game. Whether it's the story, whether it's the mechanics, whether it's, the little, the weapons, things like that. What I think it kind of sort of went down south when 343 Industries bought the IP from Bungie.
Well, basically, Bungie stepped down. So what happened there was Bungie stepped down, and basically Microsoft sent next man up, and they didn't want to lose the right. They didn't want to lose what they had going with Halo, obviously, because that's their franchise.
Yeah,
that's the face of the Microsoft Xbox, basically.
Honestly.
So
originally, like when they did. After, I think, Halo 3, that they did Halo Reach.
Right, yes. That was supposed to be like the end of the story there.
It was supposed to be the end of the story, and then I don't know what happened that they decided to up and pick it up again.
Right, because man, they gotta make the money. This is their shooter.
I
this
guess
is their
that they
this
have
is
to
their
make
face.
the money, but Jesus, if you're gonna take something as incredible as Halo Combat Evolved, you kind of have to sort of have to up the ante a bit. Right. It can't just be, hey, we have this new technology and it's better than 1080p and it can pump out 60 frames per second.
Right.
And, constantly with the latest in DirectX, DirectX 20
technology. Right.
It takes more than that to actually make the great game, because you have to.
I feel like if they just went back to their roots, so to me the epitome.
Yeah.
Epitome. The epitome of Halo was Halo 3, man. I think that as far as the progression system there, it was phenomenal. I mean, this whole Call of Duty, customization is nice, but then this prestiging level up to 50, then prestige level to 50, and you have guns that other ones don't. To me, the moment that you it's not a level playing field in a multiplayer shooter, I don't think it's balanced. And you want balance with these things. You want everybody to be on the same playing field. And the way that they did that was, to me, ingenious. They basically say, hey, look, if you're good enough to be a general, which is level 50, then you got to keep playing like a general. If not, we're gonna rank you down.
Yeah.
And then you always get, or for the most part, you'll get matched with people who are at your level.
Yeah.
And if you're better than those people, then you're gonna rank up, and now you go up to the next level. So you'll know how good you are at that point. You're gonna get ranked with the best of them.
Yeah.
I don't know why they they got away from that. To me, that was like the best freaking progression system for an online matchmaking.
Honestly, I thought that was pretty methodical what they did, like in the matchmaking system. So, it was really good to see like brand new maps that have like a certain, like a certain sort of, how do I put this eloquently? That certain kind of sort of like feel to them every single time, so that it doesn't feel like a stagnant. You'd like in one map you'd focus on flanking left, another one you just go up the middle, or you go down like this corridor. It'd be it'd be different things for different objectives.
Right.
I think it's very good in the sense that if like you put in you get out as much as you put in. So
right.
That's what I think is definitely like at the heart of the multiplayer.
For sure. And Halo's about the multiplayer. I mean, I enjoy the single player. I still remember, and this is why I was so pissed that they didn't have split screen, local multiplayer, and that's because, we used to bring our friends over. I had 2 Xbox 360s, so I would put one in one side of the house. My boys would come they'll play on the other side of the house, and we'll do this 4v4 screaming at each other at the top of our lungs across the house, and it was just like this LAN party, beautiful thing, and it was like a beautiful thing, and that doesn't exist in Halo 5. So the combination of they just missed it with the progression system, so they obviously got to get back to basics there. If they can bring back the Halo 3 kind of ranking system, I think they'd be ahead of the game there. Okay. If they can bring back split screen, which they've already confirmed, they're ahead of the game there. If they can get an interesting story, and this is where I'm interested to see where they go, they can get an interesting story while introducing new characters to the universe of Halo. Other than the Master Chief, it would be I think beneficial moving forward, because you can for comparison's sake, I mean it's obviously not the same type of game, but Uncharted. You have Nathan Drake, but Nathan Drake to me is not the most exciting player. Yeah. It's the one that you play, but it's not the one that you're most invested in necessarily, because they have great supporting cast, and I think that is what the story of Halo is missing as far as single player goes. Yeah. On the multiplayer side, they got some work to do, but that is, there was no problem with the Halo 5 multiplayer, at least.
Yeah, there was no problem with the Halo 5 multiplayer. It's just, I think, the story was a bit lacking.
Besides the ranking system.
Besides the ranking system. Yeah, in the case of Uncharted, they knew going in that this was a story-driven game. At no point did they say to themselves, hey, let's add a multiplayer element, because,
But they did.
I mean,
they did. They did, but they didn't shoehorn it in either.
Yeah, they didn't shoehorn it in either. I mean, I think I would have rather added a co-op campaign, not necessarily a multiplayer.
I agree.
So because that would have driven this. That would have actually been more towards the focus of the story.
Right.
And as okay, I hate to break off into like this little tangent, but obviously, convenience definitely becomes a factor when you're thinking about like these games and the newest technology of today.
Right.
So, when you play games like Halo, God forbid for the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no longer the case like to have LAN parties for like the story.
Right.
When you could just me I can go home and you can stay here and we'll play like Halo for the story mode. Right. Just to pass the story mode. And it would eliminate. You could do that co-op campaign where the convenience is like a thing to focus on. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. For sure.
But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what Microsoft does going forward. I think that they're not in as bad as a place as they were before, and when Xbox One launched with Dan Matrick at the head, man, it was a complete mess, man. I thought it was like over for them, and
I thought they
definitely like kind of What?
No, I mean honestly, like I said, as soon as I said that, I said to I sat my Xbox 360 Elite down, and I'm saying, I told it straight to its face, yo, I'm sorry, but I'm breaking up with you. I hope you don't feel bad.
Yeah, dude, they fucked up, but they've come a long way, and I think that the same thing goes with Halo. Obviously, Halo 5 was in development for a long time, and they had this whole Xbox original picture, Xbox One picture in mind. So, I feel like Halo 6 is gonna be going in the same direction that the whole company or the whole division of Xbox is going, and it's been going in the right direction for the past few years since Phil Spencer took over. So, hopefully, when it comes down to their core titles like Halo 6 and Gears, or Halo and Gears, I think they're gonna be doing good things going forward.
Honestly, I guess the best move for those two titles is just make a multiplayer element. Just make. You remember back in Halo 2, they just released a disc that it was just multiplayer. It was all the multiplayer maps. You didn't have to download anything because it was already pre-installed on the disc, and there was no story. Mind you, it was at a lower price point, but I think for those two titles, that's the best thing to do, and then later make a story for those two titles.
Gotcha. Alright, so we'll leave it there. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. You guys could find me at basically all the social medias at Miami Let's Play. Make sure you guys check out MiamiLet'sPlay.com. I got forums. You guys can log in, send us direct messages, tell us what you want to see. If you catch me on YouTube, you'll see me play a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I'm going to be incorporating a lot of new things there.
Alright.
I have the tournament. By the way, we shifted over. It's not going to be Street Fighter 5 anymore. It's going to be Ultra Street Fighter 4. It's been highly requested that I change it to that basically because the Street Fighter 5 hasn't been getting good rep, and I want the game to be fun. The tournament to be fun, so we changed it over to that. We'll also link to that. If you guys want to join or in the Miami area, make sure you guys sign up for that. It's going to be a free tournament for prizes and fun. It'll be fun. There'll be food there.
Yeah. fried Cuban food.
Actually, no, there's going to be, there's going to be that, but I think the dude's going to barbecue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought there was like a fritanga on the side.
Yeah, no, he's going to barbecue, so they're going to be bringing one of those little charcoal grills, and they're going to be grilling on the...
They're going to bring a caja china?
Yeah, well, no. Okay. Don't push it now. All right. But yeah, man, that's been the show. This show goes up on Wednesdays. Make sure you guys like the podcast. Make sure you guys comment on iTunes. That does help us get some exposure. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Again, all the links will be down in the description. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for listening and watching. And game on.
No contaron con mi astucia.
Oh my god.